lover of the Annabelle movies, and when I found out that the story behind the doll was based on a true story, I swear my heart stopped for a few seconds. I'm your host Makayla, and today I'll be talking about the true story behind the Annabelle doll. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoy this video because it helps us out and lets us know that you enjoy our content. But without further ado, let's get started. Though she doesn't share the same porcelain skin and lifelike features as her cinematic counterpart, the Annabelle doll that lives in the terrifying museum of famed paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, the pair that worked on the case, is made all the more creepy by how ordinary she appears. Annabelle's stitched features, including her half smile and bright orange triangular nose, evoke memories of childhood toys in simpler times. If you could ask Ed and Lorraine Warren, though Ed passed away in 2006 and Lorraine passed in early 2019,
we're back with real-life ghost hunters Ed and Lorraine Warren.
They would tell you that the stark warnings scrawled across Annabelle's glass case are more than necessary.
I'm Ed Warren. This is my wife, Lorraine.
According to the well-known demonologist couple, the doll is responsible for 2 near-passing experiences, 1 fatal accident, and a string of demonic activities that lasted around 30 years. The first of these infamous hauntings can allegedly be traced back to 1970, when Annabelle was brand new. The story was told to the Warrens by 2 young women and was retold for years after by the Warrens themselves. As the story goes, the Annabelle doll had been a gift to a young nurse named Donna from her mother for her 28th birthday. Donna, apparently thrilled with the gift, brought it back to her apartment that she shared with another young nurse named Angie. At first, the doll was an adorable accessory, sitting on a sofa in the living room and greeting visitors with her colorful elegance. But not before long, the 2 women began to notice that Annabelle seemed to move about the room on her own accord. Angie would often come home to find that the doll had moved. At first it was subtle, like they would find that the doll had just shifted positions from where they last left it, but it started to progress. Donna would sit her on the living room couch before leaving for work, only to come home in the afternoon and find her in the bedroom, with the door shut, and would find it standing up on its own, and even kneeling on a chair, and when trying to put the doll back to the same way, it would just fall. Donna and Angie then started finding notes left throughout the apartment reading, "Help me." According to the women, the notes were written on parchment paper, which they didn't even keep in their home. Furthermore, Angie's boyfriend, known as Lou, was in the apartment one afternoon while Donna was out and heard rustling in her room, as if someone had broken in. Upon inspection, he found no sign of forced entry, but found the Annabelle doll lying face down on the ground. Suddenly, he felt a searing pain on his chest and looked down to find bloody claw marks running across it. 2 days later, they had vanished without a trace. Lou also didn't like the doll very much and warned Donna that it was evil, and one night when Lou was sleeping, he woke up and realized he was unable to move. He saw the doll at his feet and watched as it slowly glided up his leg over his chest, and the doll had started to strangle him until he blacked out. Following Lou's traumatic experience, and after noticing that drops of blood had randomly appeared on the doll, the woman invited a medium over to help solve their seemingly paranormal problem. The medium held a seance and told the woman that the doll was inhabited by the spirit of a deceased 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins.
We learned from her that a 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins had died in this apartment.
His body had been found years earlier on the site where their apartment building had been built. The medium claimed that the spirit wasn't dangerous and simply wanted to be loved and cared for. The 2 nurses reportedly felt bad for the spirit and consented to allow her to take up permanent residence in the doll. Eventually, in an attempt to rid their home of the Annabelle doll's spirit, Donna and Angie called on a priest known as Father Hagen. He contacted his superior, Father Cook, who alerted Ed and Lorraine Warren. As far as Ed and Lorraine Warren were concerned, the 2 young ladies' trouble truly started when they began believing that the doll deserved their sympathy. The Warrens believed that there was actually a demonic force in search of a human host within Annabelle, and not a benevolent soul. The Warrens' account of the case states, quote, "Spirits do not possess inanimate objects like houses or toys. They possess people. An inhuman spirit can attach itself to a place or object, and this is what occurred in the Annabelle case. The spirit manipulated the doll and created an illusion of it being alive in order to get recognition. Truly, the spirit was not looking to stay attached to the doll, it was looking to possess a human host." Immediately, the Warrens noted what they believed were signs of demonic possession, including teleportation, the doll moving on its own, materialization, the parchment paper notes, and the quote, "mark of the beast," Lou's clawed chest. The Warrens subsequently ordered an exorcism of the apartment to be performed by Father Cook. Then the Warrens took Annabelle out of the apartment to her final resting place in their museum in hopes that her demonic reign would finally end.
Say, is the Annabelle doll here?
Following Annabelle's removal from Donna and Angie's apartment, the Warrens documented several other paranormal experiences involving the doll, the first just minutes after they took possession of her. After the exorcism of the nurse's apartment, the Warrens buckled Annabelle into the back seat of their car and vowed to not take the highway in case she had some kind of accident-causing power over them and their vehicle. However, even the safer back roads proved to be too risky for the couple. On their way home, Lorraine claimed that the brakes either stalled or failed several times. resulting in near disastrous crashes. Lorraine claimed that as soon as Ed pulled holy water from his bag and doused the doll with it, the problem with the brakes disappeared. Upon arriving home, Ed and Lorraine Warren placed the doll in Ed's study. There, they reported the doll levitated and moved about the house. Even when placed in the locked office in an outer building, the Warrens claimed that she would turn up later inside the house. Finally, the Warrens decided to lock Annabelle up for good. The Warrens had a specifically made glass and wood case constructed, upon which they inscribed the Lord's Prayer and St. Michael's Prayer. For the rest of his life, Ed would periodically say a binding prayer over the case, ensuring that the sinister spirit and the doll remained good and trapped. Since being locked up, the doll hasn't moved again, though it's alleged that her spirit has found ways to reach out of the earthly plane. Once, a priest who was visiting the Warrens Museum picked up Annabelle and discounted her demonic abilities. Ed warned the priest about mocking Annabelle's demonic power, but the young priest laughed it off. On his way home, the priest was involved in a near-fatal crash that totaled his new car. He claimed to have seen Annabelle in his rearview mirror just before the accident. Years later, another visitor tapped on the glass of the doll's case and laughed at how silly people were to believe in her. On his way home, he reportedly lost control of his motorcycle and crashed head-on into a tree. He then lost his life instantly and his girlfriend just barely survived. She claimed that at the time of the accident, the couple had been laughing about the Annabelle doll. So, as I did mention before, both the Warrens have passed away. However, their legacy has been carried on by their daughter Judy and her husband Tony. Until his passing in 2006, Ed Warren considered Tony his demonology assistant and entrusted him with continuing his work, which included caring for his horrifying artifacts. Those artifacts including the Annabelle doll and her protective case. Echoing the warnings of his predecessors, Tony cautions visitors of the Warrens Museum about Annabelle's powers. Is it dangerous, Tony has said of the doll? Yes. Is it the most dangerous object in this museum? Yes. And here is even a clip of Tony speaking of an experience with the doll while in its case.
She said, I took a picture in the museum, remember? Oh, you took a picture of me in the museum, remember? I said, yeah. She said, look at the doll's eyes. So I look at the doll's eyes. Now, the entire doll was in perfect focus, and so was the woman. But the eyes looked a little blurred, but I could see eyes behind the eyes. And remember, the doll has button eyes. Just black, like buttons. But you could see, situated behind those eyes, another set of eyes, it looked like, looking to the right at the woman. And then the next photo, where the girlfriend took the photo, also looking on the other side of the case to the left. You know, as an investigator, you try to find out things. The next day, when there was no one around, I went back to the museum and I took about 100 pictures of Annabelle at different angles to see if I could get the same replication of the eyes. I couldn't.
Let us know what you thought about this video in the comments below, and we will see you next time.